Hi, this is John Mack at Full Sail University in Integrated Product Deployment, and this is my release candidate walkthrough. In previous videos, we have demonstrated functionality such as the ability to create a master family account as well as individual profiles, edit and delete that account and those profiles, as well as functionality to view the family news feed and individual profile timelines. And you'll see the news feed on the screen here in front of us. So in this demonstration, we'll be using 3 devices. On the left, you have our Android emulator, which is running a little bit slow. So that might make it seem like things are not working properly, but that is simply the emulator, and the application is working expected on a physical device. On the right, we have our iOS emulator, and we will also be using an off-screen physical device as a part of this demonstration as well. So the first thing we'll mention is when the user has logged in previously, when they open up the app, they will automatically be logged back in and be taken straight to the news feed. And a couple of UX improvements have been implemented as well, and we'll touch base on those after we dive into new functionality. So to get straight to it, we'll jump over to our permission request screen, and this is a feature that allows children to ask for permission, like go to a friend's house, go out to the mall, whatever it is that they want to ask their parents for permission to do. And you'll notice we have a couple of pending permission requests that the child has sent and parents have not yet responded to. And the way this works is to start with, the child will type in their specific request and send that to the parent. We'll show that in motion in a second. But what will happen is if one parent says no to that request, it's automatically denied. And in order for permission requests to be granted, both parents have to agree. If there's only one parent on the account, that one parent agreeing or granting permission will approve the request. So to jump over to our Android side, what we'll say is, Breland wants to go to Elon's house. Can she go? And we're going to go ahead and wait for our emulator to catch up to us. Oh, and we'd already clicked on it before we scrolled down. So that answer is no, and the next time Breland comes to refresh or come back to the screen, you'll see that permission has been denied. So bear with us just a second. That is simply the emulator telling us that the program's not responding. That may be a memory issue, but this has been an ongoing issue with the emulator this week. So in order for a request to be approved, if parent 1 approves it and the child refreshes, you see that request is still being marked as pending. And that's because approval requires a response from both parents. So if parent 2, who's using the off-screen device, then comes back and says no, the next time we refresh, we'll see that that request has been denied. So let's go ahead and submit a new request, and we'll say, please, can I go to the mall? And if we refresh, we'll see that request show up, and it is showing as pending. So now what we'll do is both parents are going to agree by clicking on the green approve button. So parent 1 has done that on the off-screen device. If we refresh, we'll see that that request is still pending because approval requires approval from both parents. So we'll go ahead and say parent 2 also agrees to allow this to happen. And now if the child refreshes, we'll see that that request has been approved. So pretty simple, a lot of background calculations going on to make that work, but the ultimate goal is to make the request and approval process as simple as possible for the users. Next, we will jump over to our check-in and location functionality. So here you'll see a couple of differences as well, or one major difference between the parent and child accounts. Parent accounts have the ability to find a family member, and child accounts do not. You'll notice as soon as we came to the screen, the map automatically zoomed into the user's current location. And one thing that happens on the back end is the app actually updates the user's location every 5 minutes while the app is running, whether it's in the background or the foreground. And that will provide parents with pseudo real-time location data. So anytime they want to go and check the location of a family member, they can do that. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just check in, and we won't add any text because this can be done a couple of different ways. So we're just going to check in, and we'll see that post has been created, because what's happening here is not only is it updating the user's location information, but it's also creating a timeline post showing where the user checked in at, and that will appear both on the family timeline and the user's individual timeline. So we can do that without text. If we do that, it'll just say Breland checked in at her current location. However, if we check in with text, the post that's generated from that will include a little bit more personalization. And you can see that there. And then if we choose to do so, we can also check in either with or without text and include a photo. And again, just bear with us. That emulator is running a little slow, so we'll do it on the off-screen device so that you can see what's generated there. And we'll just take a photo of our screen for that. So we'll create that check-in. Oh, and there we go. And you can see that check-in has been created with an image, and we'll give our Android emulator a little more time to catch up here, and we'll see that one come through as well. And while we're waiting for that, we'll also showcase that user locations are updated on individual profiles. So every time Breland's location is updated, that will be indicated on her profile screen as well. So that we're just going to try to back out of this. Our Android emulator is not wanting to cooperate right now. It is worth noting that this image was taken on an Android device. So now, since it seems like we've caught up, we'll try that check-in with an image one more time. There we go, and we'll create that post. And there we go. So going back to profile locations, you see that profile's location is updated every time the device pulls their information. So if we go into another profile as a parent, we'll be able to see that profile's location represented there anytime we want to. But the other thing that's really cool here is parents can actually locate their children on the map. So, or any family member. So if mom wants to see where dad is, she can come in here and select dad's profile. Once that emulator catches up to us. Oh, and there it updated. We're just running slow because of that emulator. So we'll give that a second, and while we're doing that, we'll just log into Dad's profile on our iOS device, and that'll give us an opportunity to show some of that functionality as well. So one thing that was missing previously was the ability to log out. That has been corrected. So we can now log out, and we'll log in with a new, or with a different profile on the same account. And you'll see we actually have loading indicators in place now so that the user is not left wondering whether or not their request is actually being processed. So we'll come over here, and Dad can find a family member, and we'll say he wants to find Mom. And there we have Mom's location. We can locate her, and anytime that information is updated, if new location information is available for the selected family member, it'll update that within the app. And there we have that functionality. So it is worth noting that, unfortunately, push notifications have not yet been implemented. We've run into a few technical issues on both devices with trying to implement push notification functionality via Google Cloud Messaging. I am exploring an option that would allow me to implement push notifications through another service. However, that will only be available on Android at this point due to the fact that it's not currently in the budget to pay for the Apple developer account or profile to enable push notifications on that. But once budgeting does become available, it will be implemented on iOS as well. And our emulator is actually causing an interesting issue that does not happen on a physical device, and that's showing unknown address when locating a family member through the check-in screen. On a physical device, this actually populates with the user's current address. And we'll show over here as well that logout functionality has also been implemented on the Android side. So again, just waiting for that emulator, which is running a little slowly for us to catch up. We'll log out of this profile, and we'll showcase that we also now have the ability or loading indicators in place. Oh, and there's our emulator acting funky on us. We do have those loading indicators in place on Android as well. So there's our first loading indicator. And while we're waiting for that to load, the other thing that we'll point out is anytime a list is shown on any of the devices, functionality to refresh that list by swiping down has been implemented on both Android and iOS. So we'll show that by, we'll log in over here real quick with Mom. And what we'll do is we'll create a post here. And you see that post does not automatically update. However, if we swipe down to refresh, we'll see that new information appear in the timeline. And there we have it. That is our demo for Release Candidate. Thank you so much, and we will see you in the next final video next week.